Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about my art progress in the last decade. I've seen a couple of these videos, but I kind of wanted to do this a little bit differently. A lot of the videos just kind of show the drawings, and I kind of wanted to show the artwork and then also talk a bit about what I was struggling with at that time and what I learned at that time. Yeah, so let's get into it. I'm gonna be looking down a bit just at my computer so that I can talk about the artwork as it's up here. So first, I'm gonna start with the artwork that I was making in high school. So in high school, I was actually making a lot of abstract work. This was because I couldn't draw people, so I just avoided doing it, which is not good. Wouldn't recommend. I just kind of avoided doing it. I only pretty much focused on abstract work. And also in high school, we didn't have life models come in. We would basically just draw from each other, or our teacher would sometimes just sit on a desk and pose for us, which it would have been really helpful to be able to draw a nude model or just draw from the model, but we couldn't do that in high school. It just wasn't available to us. So that's part of the reason too why I couldn't really draw people. The other part of why I was making abstract work at that time was because the teacher that I had at that time would mostly just show contemporary abstract artists, so that's what I was exposed to. Also, I'm making potatoes and carrots right now, so if you hear sizzling, that's my potatoes and carrots. It's gonna be delicious. Anyway, so yeah, that was predominantly what I was working on in high school. Let's move on to college. College, I started to learn about the type of work that I was interested in. I started learning about different artists and what I kind of wanted to start focusing on. And part of that for me was self-portraits. I really enjoyed doing self-portraits. It's something that I still focus on now. I learned a lot in college, actually. I'm just going to show my figure paintings that I did at that time. You can kind of see that these are my first figure paintings. They're not very good. I didn't know what I was doing, and I couldn't mix a flesh tone to save my life. Roasted, but true. So I didn't know what I was doing, but over time, with the help of my teachers, I slowly started to learn those things. The other thing that I found really helpful in college was that I had other people around me who are really committed on becoming better artists. And that itself actually pushed me a lot because I had a group of people who are really focused, really dedicated, and that in turn made me want to be a better artist. Yeah, that's my first year of work. Then moving on to my second year of work. This was the type of work that I was making. So again, mostly self-portraits. Yeah, I was trying to experiment with different things, find what I wanted to do. All of my work pretty much turned figurative at this point. I wasn't making abstract work anymore. And I actually think my figure drawing improved a lot just within a year. And that is mostly due to my teachers and to consistently life drawing every single day pretty much. I think the progress I made in 2 years is pretty good. It was intense, but it was a really good experience for me, and I really enjoyed college. I learned a lot of technical skills. Moving on to university. I feel like most of university was me processing the skills that I learned in college. So basically it was me practicing those things over and over again until I knew how to do them. It did take me a while when I left college to, acknowledge everything I've learned in a weird way. I knew how to do certain things, but then when it came to actually doing them, I couldn't execute them. So I felt like university was just me figuring out everything I learned in college. My first year, I worked on a bunch of self-portraits, as you guys can see. So the first one I did was a grisaille. So grisaille is when you paint in black and white first, and then you slowly start layering oil paint on top of that, and it's supposed to be translucent. I didn't do a good job in my grisaille. I literally just did a painting in black and white and then painted over it in oil paint, not with translucent layers. I don't like this painting, but it's part of everything, part of my process. I did another painting here. I was definitely more interested in the faces than I was in the hands, and I think that's pretty obvious. I couldn't paint hands at that time. I remember I forced myself to paint hands, and I hated it. Hated the whole process, and they look really bad. And I also think I've kind of lost this piece at this point, so I don't even know where it is. Side note, if the quality of these pictures are bad, I can't take them again because a lot of these pieces I either lost or threw out, painted over. So you just kind of get what you get. But anyway, yeah, I really struggled with this piece. This is actually a collage I made from a bunch of different paintings, so I just cut up a bunch of my old paintings and then collaged them together. It's fine, like I don't really have much to say about it, to be honest with you. It took me a really long time to do. And also I've since like thrown it out, I think, as well. But at least we have pictures of it, evidence that it happened, so. So moving on to my second year of college, I did a painting of my friend. I remember I thought that I did such a good job on this painting. I was like, wow, like, because I was interested in that time of putting colors in the skin that you wouldn't typically find in skin. So like you can see there's like a lot of magentas, blues, like really like saturated colors. And I remember being like, wow, can't believe I did that. And I also tried to kind of like fuse the background and her together. So like you could see like a little bit of her hair. I tried to like cover up with the background, but I was like too nervous to ruin my own portrait. So I didn't want to like cover it up too much. And I was like, oh God, I'm gonna ruin it. So yeah, I just did like a little bit. Yeah, I remember being like super proud of this portrait and like I thought I did such a good job. I mean, looking back at it now, I really don't like it. And I think I threw it out because I didn't like it. Like a couple years later, I was like, oh, this is bad. When I'm saying that like the work is bad, I'm not expecting anyone to be like, no, it's good, don't say that. I think it's a good thing that I'm saying that it's bad because that means that I've grown a lot since that moment. So I'm not looking for anyone to say that they think the work is good. I'm just saying it to look back and be happy where I am right now. The other piece I did is a watercolor. It honestly took me a long time to finish. I was proud of it. This is kind of when I started feeling more confident in my abilities to paint people. Third year, I became interested in doing portraits. So I have like a portrait of me and my sister here that I worked on. I really liked it at that time because I was like, wow, I'm like fusing abstraction with representationalism because the background's kind of abstract and I thought it was just a good painting at that time. And then the other painting I did is one of my sister. I like this painting. I still like this painting even though like it's clearly like foreshortened wrong. Like you can kind of see in the painting that her feet are way too small and it just looks really weird. But I still like the painting, like still to this day, I still like the painting and my sister actually has it hanging at her place. Now moving on to my last year of university. This is when you got to develop like what you wanted to work on and what you were interested in. Yeah, I actually feel like I did a lot of growing in this last year and a lot of painting. I made a lot of work. Most of it I didn't show to people because I felt like at that time in my life I was really trying to just experiment and see what I wanted to do. So a lot of things didn't end up working out and some things did. I think at that time I wasn't proud of the work I made in university my last year because I was always just like, I can do better. But looking back at it now, I am really happy with this work. I think that it turned out really good. And yeah, like I look back at my last year of university pretty fondly too because it was just a time when I just felt like I was learning so much about what I wanted to do. And I'm happy too. If I just look at the progress that I made from my last year of university and then like my first year of college, I think it's such a big gap. Yeah, clearly like I just learned a lot. Once I graduated university, I wasn't in school anymore, didn't take any more classes or anything like that. I was just trying to like find out what I wanted to do. I kept painting and I was also just working random retail jobs. I do like some of the work I made after school, but the thing is, once you graduate, you have less pressure to create work. So I felt like I wasn't making nearly as much work as I normally would have made in school. but I still made work, still making work. There's a lot of pieces that I did make outside of university that I really liked. A lot of experimenting happened too when I was out of university. I experimented with film, I experimented with encaustic, because I was just trying to find what I wanted to do. And I think if you're out of school, like you just left, and you feel kind of lost right now, don't even worry about it. Like, it happens to everyone, I think. You kind of just go through this stage where you just don't know what you're doing anymore because you don't receive that feedback anymore. But eventually, if you keep at it, you find your way. The 2 years that I was out of school, I just was totally lost. Actually, this portrait that I did is one of my favorite paintings I've ever done of myself. And I know that a lot of people would think that that's really weird, but I think it's like the best painting I've ever done of me. Why? Colors are great. I like the angle that I'm looking at you at, so it looks like I'm looking over you, which would kind of say like I'm in a position of power even though like I'm injured. It's just a really weird painting, I think. But I think it's pretty good. I love it. I did more self-portraits. I started incorporating embroidery into my artwork, and I started getting excited again about new things. Just looking back at that painting and looking back at the work I did in high school or the portraits I was doing of myself even in my first year of university, I think the development of that is crazy, and it's only because I've kept up with it. So since this year has just started, 2020, I don't have pretty much any work to show for it. I have the piece that I worked on in my last video. If you guys want to check that out, you can. There will be a link up here or a link in the description. Yeah, so if you want to see how I made it, then click on the link. Yeah, also very proud of this piece. The work that I showed in this video, I tried to show the progress I've made, but I don't think that the progress you make is always linear. I could show you a bunch of bad pieces that I just made 2 weeks ago, and it would seem like I made no progress. Even artists that are really good make bad work, and it's okay. You don't see the bad work that they're making all the time. All you see is the good stuff that they post. So if you're out there and you feel like your work isn't getting any better, don't worry about it. It is for sure if you're consistently practicing. It's good to look at your old work and kind of remember where you were at that time, appreciating it and appreciating where you are now. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. That's the end of this video. If you liked it, then give it a like. If you want to subscribe, then subscribe. And I'll see you guys next week with another video. Bye.